and I said this to start the show. I mean, obviously, Jets and Pats is huge. There's only
Yeah.
the one game with both teams with winning records, but there's some other games, Giants, Cowboys, obviously, even Raiders, Chargers on a
Yeah.
lower level. Walker, this seems like a very pivotal weekend in the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it can be a quasi-elimination game sort of weekend, and I think that started last night where, look, San Francisco was already eliminated as far as I was concerned, but had Seattle lost that game, then I would have been among those who say crisis mode. I'm with you. Jets and Pats is far and away the best game of the weekend, and we get that at 1 o'clock. Only two 4 p.m. kickoffs, which is weird. You got the weird 9:30 Yahoo kick. But I'm with you. Raiders, Chargers, whoever wins that game, they're in the mix. They can tell themselves, we're going to be playing meaningful games for a while here. Whoever loses that is probably in trouble. Houston, Miami is another one. I don't like either of those teams. I think they've played pretty horrific football for most of the season. But whoever wins that, all of a sudden, that could be a playoff game. That could be a tiebreaker right there that gets them in, and somebody, maybe gets the loser not in, should both teams stay hot. And whoever wins it all of a sudden has won a few games in a row, and they've made some changes there, right? If it's Houston, hey, we're back to Hoyer, and maybe that's how we win. If it's Miami, it's like, hey, maybe chopping wood with Dan Campbell's going to carry us all year. Maybe we'll just, out-bludgeon people. And who knows, So I think on a different level, those games are interesting. But, yeah, it's not a marquee slate of games by any stretch.
Well, one in the NFC East that's interesting is obviously the Cowboys and the Giants. And there's been a change at quarterback. Matt Castle is now starting under center. What effect, if any, is that going to have?
I don't – from a production standpoint, I don't think really anything. I think what maybe changes there, and that he's just emblematic of it, is that there's been a recalibration of a mindset there and saying, we got a little carried away here. Brandon Weeden shouldn't have been chucking the ball around as much as he did. And this offensive line, everybody put it on a pedestal last year for good reason, but they've been out-muscled at times, and they haven't been superb in pass protection now that we don't have Tony Romo back there saving plays left and right. So you know what? Let's try to get this tough kid, Christine Michael, the ball a little bit more. He's a physical guy. Let's get Lyle Collins in our offensive line and just try to road grade people. Let's keep it simple, stupid football. Let's give Castle a shot because we've seen enough weed. And again, not that Castle's any better per se, but at least he's a little different. I think at least it's that sort of maybe little shot in the arm, maybe a different personality in the huddle. And most importantly, we got Greg Hardy back. Randy Gregory's on the men. Rolando McClain played pretty well. Sean Lee gets healthier every week. We like our front seven now. We got to do some stuff on defense here, and we got after Tom Brady 5 times in the first half last week. So, let's just try to go 2-2 here in the month of November or whatever, and survive until Romo comes back week 11. So I think it's all just part of that overall sort of flicking the switch mindset thing. Let's get back to basics, fundamental football, and just try to grind it out here for a few weeks.
We're talking to Jason La Canfora, usual Friday spot here on CBS Sports Radio. Tiki and Tierney getting ready for Week 7. Listen, I think the Giants have to win this game. I don't know that they will, but I feel like if the Giants walk out of that stadium, their home stadium, with a loss, the energy that will be sapped from that franchise, at least from their fans or for their fans, will be very, very evident. Whereas with Dallas, you can still kind of latch on to when you lay some of this stuff out. Well, we'll get our quarterback soon, and everybody's improving, and Sean Lee and this and everything else. I think the Giants have to win this game.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
I just don't. I didn't lump that in with maybe Houston, Miami, and some of those other games, just because I think there's a dominant team. Denver's already won 6 games, so it's going to be, pretty damn hard to catch them.
Yeah.
And the Colts are now, they won 3 in a row, and they never lose within their division. So a team like the Houston can't be giving it back. Miami, they've already got the Jets and New England in front of them in that division. So they lose this game, and with all they've already fired a coach. I don't see it. Boy, the NFC East, I think it is what it is. You're going to have teams like the Giants who look horrible for a couple weeks, who then win 2 or 3 in a row, who then regress for a few weeks. But then after they get out of that downward spiral, they look around and say, wow, we're still right here. Same thing with the Eagles. I mean, they look half decent for half of a game here and do enough to win this week, and they string together a couple of wins, and you can make the case that they're right back in it. But if they were to play a quality football team, they could very well get emasculated because they can't really pass the ball, and they're starting to run it, but I don't think the defense is necessarily as good as what it's shown, or especially getting pick sixes every week. I don't know that you can bank on that. That whole division. I mean, the one team I would really fear is Dallas if they can tread water, and be within 2 games when Romo comes back. I think we've seen Washington, is going to fall by the wayside, but those other 3. I think it's like you ever go to like the boardwalk and you have the little horse race games where you roll the ball and then the horse rolls up like 2 or 3 spots.
Sure.
Depending on which hole. I think that's the NFC East. And mostly you're rolling ones, and somebody might eventually roll a 5 and jump up 3 spots, but then they're not going to hit another 5.
Yeah.
I just think that one's going down to the end.
What about our guy Dez Bryant? Do you think he's going to play?
Boy, if left to his own devices, I think he would. And you know what? If it was just Dez and Jerry sitting in a room, he still might. But, you look at how little he's done in practice and how much football is still to be played. And this was the date he had circled for a long time, and he won't be happy, if they come to him on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon and say you're inactive, which is, the way it's probably trending right now. But the most important thing is he put a baseline of work in, at least individual work and more individual work this week. If he's able to practice anything close to fully next week, then I think there's no way you're going to be able to keep him off the field. But, this may end up looking a little ambitious, but in his mind, that's going to be a tough argument because, he's been telling his teammates and his doctors since the end of September, I'm coming back for that Giants game.
Dez Bryant. Jay. Jason La Canfora.
I bring out the best in you guys.
Jason, yeah, well, listen, that's what talented people do.
I guess so.
Jay, last Sunday, I stared into a camera and I told the world that I believe that the Jets can win the Super Bowl this season. And I never say stuff like that.
Wow.
Well, I know we kind of glossed over. Let's get to the Big Daddy this weekend. All right. I want you to tell us or tell me, with all the defensive stats the Jets have, run, pass, run, they stop, they get to quarterback, they run the ball, they do a million things great, the best in the red zone defensively, they take the ball away, they're really good. Are they going to win this game? Do they have a chance to win this game?
I think they have a chance to win this game. I think you've been smoking Ryan Fitzpatrick's beard. You got him winning the Super Bowl.
All right, first of all, I said get to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And tell me why it's that. Who's better in the AFC definitively? Who's better?
Look, I like the Jets. I would put the Jets in as a wild card right now.
Okay, so if you're in the wild card, you got a chance.
And you're right. If the Jets had to go to a Denver or an Indianapolis in the first round, I got news for you. Those teams, the home team, would be peeing down their leg and not the Jets.
Okay, so how is it that outlandish of a statement, Jay?
But to actually get there all the way, I think it'd be tough. Just
why? Because they're the
Jets.
Jets.
Have to stay incredibly healthy, and the pass rush is going to would have to increase exponentially. Now, maybe Sheldon Richardson provides that, but I think if they had a linebacker or 2, somebody other than Copels coming off the edge, you really had to worry. Really had to worry about. And if Fitzpatrick didn't have this gene where every 4 weeks he might turn it over 4 times, then I would say, you know what, I'm with you all the way, all the way to Santa Clara possibly. But I don't think they're a fluke. I think they're going to be a tough out. I don't know where the line is now. Early in the week it was 10.
8.5.
I thought that was extremely high.
9 points, Jay. 9 points right now.
Yeah, I think that's still a little high. I